So I'm going to talk about Suits Season 6, Episode 2, Accounts Payable. So you see Mike struggling in prison after what happened last week with that Frank guy, and that Frank is trying to he got his phone and he's saying, hey, you know, your wife sent me those pictures, and she's naked in them. Do you want to see them? And Mike's like, what? And then he attacks him, and then both of them get in a fight, and then Rachel can't visit Mike in prison because he's the one who started the fight. And then you see he also hates his new roommate, Kevin Miller. And, you know, the guy who plays Kevin Miller, I've seen him in other things, but I think they just cast him as a Latina character in every show, as like a 2-episode thing. I'm not being racist, I'm just making an observation. Okay, moving on. So we see at the firm that Lewis hires movie extras, and he realizes later after Harvey and Jessica come in and tell him that by you hiring movie extras to make it seem like we have power, you're making people who are coming in for the settlement think that we're actually doing good, so it'll make us actually look bad. And he realizes then that he messed up, and that whole scene was just hilarious, and him yelling at the guy about, I'm not paying you $3 to make copies, what are you doing? What do you expect him to do? They're all movie extras. And then this week's episode was so much more better than last week's episode, and the reason for that was Harvey and the interactions he has with some of the other characters like Mike and Frank and Elliot Stemple. Oh my god, Elliot Stemple. The guy who plays Elliot Stemple, I think he's a brilliant actor, but the character itself, I want to strangle that little guy. Seriously, how can someone so little be so mean? Seriously, and such a jackass. I was just watching that entire scene between Harvey and Elliot. Elliot touches the basketballs and Harvey's like, you don't touch those balls. And then he makes a funny joke. I don't want to touch your balls, Harvey. And then he's like, you know what? I want that duck painting. I don't want any money and I don't want anything else you need to give me. I just want that duck painting. And Harvey, you can see the emotions going through his face and also through he's saying that he's so angry and he's so conflicted, but he's so ready to do anything for the firm that he actually gives him the painting. And then later when Jessica comes in the office and then you realize that that's the painting his mom painted and that's the only memory of her that he has, I was so devastated, and I felt so much for Harvey. And that entire scene between him and Elliot was unbelievable. It was amazing. It was perfect. And also the other interactions Harvey has with the other characters, like Frank, when he promises Mike that he's not going to do anything to Frank, and he's walking out and Frank's the one who starts and he's like, hey, yeah, I remember you. You remember me. My imitation of him doesn't sound like anything like him, but that's how I see him in my head. So he's like, yeah, do you remember me? Do you remember me? You put me in here for 13 years? I'm sounding like Kermit the Frog, but it's okay. And then Harvey's like, yeah, I remember you. And then he puts one finger out and Harvey grabs that finger and he's pulls on it. And he's like, you know what? I put you back in here 13 years ago and I can still do so much more harm to you. That makes him look like such a badass. And then you see so many sides to Harvey in this episode. It's unbelievable. Between him and Elliot shows how much devastation he can go through to save his firm. And between him and Frank, how much of a badass he can become when he wants to be. And he doesn't even have to work that hard to be a badass. Harvey is just a badass. And then moving on to the part where Jack is trying to sue Jessica to get money from her so he can buy the shares in Robert Zane's company, and then you find out it's from his past, that's why he doesn't have any money. And then Jessica, and then she also has that moment where she's like, when I'm so old, I realize... Okay, she doesn't sound anything like that. That's just another imitation of her. That's right, guys. This is the episode where I get imitations all wrong. Okay, never mind. But I'm still gonna go with it. And then Jessica's like, hey, yeah, I realize at this age, I'd rather have friends than enemies to rely on. Yeah, okay, I know my imitations are not that good, but you know what? They get the job done, guys. Another thing I really liked about this episode with Mike was that he didn't instantly think that, oh, Kevin, you had to change rooms. Oh, it's okay, I'll trust you now. I like that it took him the entire episode because he just got betrayed last episode by Frank. And he had to tell him his whole life story. Remember when he told us his whole life story? It started with my grandmama. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to go back to the last episode and what I hated about it. But this episode was really good. I really like this episode. Now I think this season can go further. And if the entire season is like this, I think we're heading towards a really good season this year. So guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment all down below. And subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of our videos and everything we're posting.